Hello and welcome to Simple French Cooking. My name is Francois and today I'm going to teach you how to make the perfect Mother's Day meal for your maman. So today I want to teach you how to make a classic quiche Lorraine. Making a quiche is a foundational technique or recipe to learn because you're going to learn a flaky pastry that you can use on a lot of different applications, and then you're going to learn a bunch of different fillings. And really, it's kind of limitless what you can do with this. You can take it in any direction that you want. Quiche, as far as France, originated in the Lorraine region of France, which is up near the German border. The early recipes called for using stale bread, and they would pour like a custard over it and bake it. And it was just a way to be thrifty with your bread. You didn't want to waste anything. So quiche is the perfect thing to serve for Mother's Day because it's not that difficult to make. There's a few techniques. You know, if you don't want to make the dough, you can just buy pie dough. Almost every single store sells pie dough pre-made, so it's really easy. And then it has the illusion of being something fancy. A lot of the times, I know when I was young, I used to cook for my mother on Mother's Day, and you know, it always would be kind of a brunch affair, and quiche is the perfect thing for that. Plus, you can make it ahead and serve it whenever your mom gets out of bed, or you could serve her in bed. You could make it vegetarian or with seafood or meat, however you like, whatever your mom likes. You know, and this is just a perfect foundational recipe. So join us today as I teach you how to make a classic quiche Lorraine. To make the flaky pie crust, in a food processor, combine 2 1/3 cups of all-purpose flour. And you know, we can make this by hand in a bowl as well. But we're going to add 1/2 teaspoon of sea salt, 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder. And the baking powder really makes it light and fluffy. Take 2 sticks of butter, which is the same as 1 cup of butter or even 8 ounces of butter. And we're going to cut it into small dice. And it's important to make sure that your butter is ice cold. We're just going to pulse the processor a couple times to mix all the dry ingredients together well. Then add all of your butter at once, and we're just going to continue pulsing it till the flour resembles cornmeal. Add a 1/2 cup of ice cold water through the feeder tube, and just mix the dough till the water is well incorporated in. Now it's going to look crumbly and not quite like a dough, so turn it out onto your counter. Make sure you wipe off your blade real well and all your bowl so you get every little bit of it. Then just work the dough together into a ball. And in a minute or so, it's going to come together really nicely like this. There you go. Mush it nice and flat. Let's put it in a Ziploc bag and refrigerate it for 2 hours. To make the basic quiche filling, in a large bowl, we're going to whisk together 3 large eggs, 3 large egg yolks, 2 cups of heavy cream. You heard me, 2 cups. Don't try using milk, it's so much better like this. And then we're going to be adding about a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, a 1/2 teaspoon of black pepper, and about a 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. And that's just going to give it this lovely, lovely flavor. So no matter what quiche you're making, the basic filling is the same every time. Take 8 ounces of bacon and slice it thin. So traditionally in France, quiche Lorraine is made just with bacon. There's no cheese, there's no caramelized onions, you know, but do what you want. You're cooking for your mom, you're not cooking for some judge in France. You do what you want, but today I'm going to make a traditional quiche Lorraine. So for me, it's just going to be the bacon. Now is the time that you have to decide what kind of quiche do you want. Do you want a thin one, which is usually cooked in a fluted tart pan, preferably with a removable bottom because it's going to make it far easier to get out later on, or a thick one, and I like to do this in a springform pan. So this also has a removable bottom. I personally like the bigger one, but whichever you prefer. So if you are making in a thin tart, you're going to need half the dough and also half the filling. The recipe I gave you is for a larger one. So we're going to proceed with this one. Lightly flour your work surface and also your ball of dough. You just don't want your dough to stick to your counter when you're rolling it out. You know, if you don't have a rolling pin, use a wine bottle, but just smash the dough with the rolling pin to soften it a bit. Then you want to roll it out into a large circle, probably around 15 inches and round and about a 1/4 inch thick, somewhere around there. What it needs to be is bigger than your pan plus the height of the sides. Coil the dough around your rolling pin and then just unwind it slowly over your springform. You want it to be nice and loose, and make sure you have dough hanging over both sides. Now we're just going to gently push the dough down into the corners of the pan, and the dough should be pliable enough that this isn't really an issue. And just take your time here. And if you do tear it by accident, just use a piece of dough to patch it. You know, now if you look, I had one side that didn't really have any dough hanging over, and it's okay. I'm just going to be pressing against the pan and getting just enough to hang over the side. Now here's a trick I learned. Pinch it really tightly along the outer lip of the springform. This is in place of using baking beads. More about that later. And then we're going to take a knife and just cut in a circle around and remove the excess dough. There's no reason for it. We don't need this. You can save this dough for something else. I'm just going around pinching it again just to make sure it's nice and tight all around. Now use your fingers to crimp the edges. You don't have to do this, but it looks great, so why not? Okay, then refrigerate your tart shell for about 2 hours. You could even do this overnight. Now preheat your oven to 375, then pop the quiche shell in and bake it for 10 minutes. So look at this. You know, everybody else is going to tell you you need to line your quiche or your tart with baking beans, and then you put foil or whatever inside, then a bunch of beans inside, and bake it that way. Then you remove it and cook it. I've never done it that way. There's no need to. I mean, look how beautiful this is. Because I crimped it around the edge, it did not slide off. And now I'm just going to trim off the excess dough with a serrated knife. By the way, look at these beautiful, beautiful oven mitts. Now, I have to admit, I never wear these. In professional kitchens, you always use towels, not oven mitts. But my friends at 𝘄𝗶𝗺𝗽𝗲 sent me these as a gift, and well, I've become addicted to them. Now I'm using them for everything. That, by the way, was a shameless plug from my friends at 𝘄𝗶𝗺𝗽𝗲. They have such beautiful stuff. Tell them Francois sent you. What is it about dough that tastes so good? All right. All right. Let's put our bacon inside. You just want to evenly spread this out. Now, like I said earlier, if you don't eat meat, don't use bacon. Steamed broccoli would be awesome in here. I mean, you could put smoked salmon on the bottom and cream cheese and chives and then pour the same basic mixture. Really, you can do anything. It's all going to be perfectly delicious. So spread your filling evenly across the bottom, and then we're going to pour the cream. My suggestion too, whenever you're making this, if you're using cheese, I would put cheese first. That way it's even on the bottom, then you're topping on that, and then the custard filling. And just pour everything, the whole thing. Now you may notice that the filling only comes up about 2/3 of the way in this pan. I like it this way. I like big crust with the filling. For me, this is the way I make it. If you wanted to, you could add a little bit more of the custard and then cook it a little bit longer. Or if you put a lot of broccoli or whatever veggies and things in there, you might have enough volume. I would check it before and just make sure that it's okay. All right. We're going to pop this in the oven for about 50 minutes at 375. Excuse me for chewing. And we're going to pull it out when it's firm. And I'll show you how to check that. Oh my God, this smells so heavenly good. I mean, I think it's becoming a regular feature of this show that I drool when the food comes out. My wife tells me I do it all the time anyways, but look how beautifully, perfectly brown the crust is. And the way you know the filling is done is you press on it and it should be firm, kind of like Jell-O is. So you never eat a quiche when it comes straight out of the oven. Always let it sit for about half an hour. That way it's going to cut way better. Oh, this quiche looks magnificent. I can't wait to eat it. So just loosen the spring form off and then pop it out like that. And I'm sorry, the audio for this actually didn't record right, so I'm voicing it over now. But just look how beautiful this is. It's incredible. It's perfectly brown. Use a serrated knife to delicately cut through the crust just because you don't want it to flake off in little pieces. Look at this quiche. Can't really see inside, but the dough is perfectly cooked all the way inside. The filling is just perfectly bouncy, just the way it should be, super creamy. Oh my God, I mean, the flavor is incredible. Your mom is gonna love this. Go to my website, simplefrenchcooking.com, and on there I'm gonna put a link where you can get the recipe downloaded for free. Also, there will be a little prep list there to help you out, so you have absolutely no stress. Anybody with even the smallest bit of cooking knowledge can make a quiche, a perfect quiche, every single time. Thanks for watching. This has been Simple French Cooking. Please subscribe, hit the bell if you want to get regular updates about all my videos coming out. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.